Good morning. In the last few years, running shoe prices have gotten pretty insane. With the advent of the Pro Evo 1, Adidas has a $500 running shoe, which to me is insane. And I'm never gonna buy that shoe because I just can't justify that at all. So $500 is the ceiling. But then a lot of shoes are getting closer to $300. There's some $300 shoes that are out there. The new Fast R3, the Metaspeed Ray from Asics, the Prime X Strung 3 from Adidas, and then there's a lot of carbon plate shoes that are in the upper 200s. So running shoes have gotten pretty expensive if you want the top of the line newest model. But one thing I have to commend brands for is there are still some good things out there for $150 or less. So that's what I'm talking about today. So I have 4 shoes I'm going to wear today that are all $150 or $140. And I think some of the best value options, daily trainers, and some of them can even pick up the pace a little bit and serve as a tempo shoe as well. So the 4 shoes that I'm running in today: the Asics Novablast 5, the Mizuno Neo Zen, the Adidas Evo SL, and the Puma Velocity Nitro 4. I got through all those names correctly, yes. But we're talking very good shoes at a reasonable price. One thing I will say though is they're all good shoes, but very, very different shoes. So we'll kind of get into the differences between them and what they might be best for. I think you kind of can't go wrong with any of those 4, but depending on the type of runner you are, the type of shoe you're looking for, they have very different personalities. So starting with the Novablast 5, I think this is kind of the most traditional of all these shoes. It has a regular kind of mesh upper, has a roomy toe box, has padding in the tongue and around the heel collar. It's a very comfortable shoe overall. Like, I would say if someone was just starting running and they bought this shoe, they'd be very happy with it. It's nothing crazy, but it gets the job done. Asics also has a million versions of Flight Foam. This has Flight Foam Blast Max, so that's what they call it in this one. And I would say this foam, it's compressive and bouncy, but not too much one way or the other. It has more of that rubbery kind of feeling like Light Strike Pro. So it's not incredibly soft and compressive, but it gives you a nice amount of bounce without feeling too soft. So I think this is just like a really balanced quality shoe. This shoe is also the heaviest of all the ones that I'm going to be running in today. I just weighed them before I came out again, and these weighed in at 10.55 ounces. I'll put the grams on the screen as well. I'm not going to convert that in my head. I'll do it when I get home. So this is the heaviest of the 4 shoes. All the rest of them are in the 9s. Actually, I was surprised. I feel like Evo SL, I think some people have said this before, has some variation between pairs. I have a bright yellow pair and a black pair. I just weighed the black pair that I'm going to wear today, and I think those actually weigh a little bit less than my yellow pair. And what I do is I weigh both shoes, the left and the right, and usually there's a little bit of variation. Like, one might be 9.22 ounces and one's 9.4. So I'll add that together, divide by 2, and that's going to give me the weight that I'm doing. So it's the average of the 2 shoes. So I was surprised that the Evo SL and the Velocity 4 actually weighed about the same this time. I think the Velocity 4 was 0.1 ounces heavier, and that shoe actually has less stack height than the Evo SL. So that was kind of impressive this morning. Whenever I'm running, there's garbage trucks and landscapers, very annoying with the sound. But now I'm in the Neo Zen, and this shoe immediately loses a little bit more than an ounce off of the Novablast 5. That was 10.55 ounces. These are 9.52. So we lost an ounce, and what we're gaining here is a better foam. These have Mizuno's Energy Next foam, and it's a really bouncy foam, has a lot of energy return. Definitely feels a little bit softer and more compressive than the foam that's in the Novablast 5. So if someone's looking for a more stable shoe, I think the Novablast 5 is more stable than these, because this foam is just more compressive, a little bit more bouncy and unstable. But they are lighter and have excellent energy return. These also have a booty style upper, so they don't have a tongue. You just slide your foot in there. So I think for some people that's going to fit them really well. Other people may not like the fit of this shoe with that booty style upper. But all these shoes I find to be true to size. I have a 12, my normal 12, and all of them. All right, so just getting started in the Neo Zen, but I felt like freaking landscapers. I felt like I needed to report something right away. I feel like I'm shot out of a cannon when I'm wearing this shoe compared to the Novablast 5. Again, I would say like the Novablast 5 is a reliable mileage shoe where you could just take it out, put miles on it, be comfortable, be supported, but it's lacking a little bit of that fun factor that these other shoes have. This one, just when you start running, it just immediately gives you all that energy return. Recently I ran in the 3 Vomero shoes, and I kind of said the same thing about the Vomero 18 compared to the Vomero Plus. That's what it kind of feels like going from the Novablast 5 to the Neo Zen. Just so much more energy return. It's a much better midsole foam. What a midsole foam this is. Congratulations, Mizuno. Wow, it's just so funny what a difference a shoe can make. Coming from the last one to this one, so much more energy return, such a more fun shoe to run in. One downside though, if you want to use this as a daily shoe, your daily runs are going to get faster. This is one of those ones where it's just hard to slow it down. The bounce is so good and the energy return is so addictive, it just makes you go faster. I'm like, I can't stop, I can't slow myself down, I want to run faster. Such nice bounce and energy return from this shoe. Just a joy to run in, really. Like the Novablast 5 feels completely dead compared to this. It does still have energy return, it's not a completely dead shoe, but this one is just leaps and bounds above it as far as performance. I gotta take these for a tempo run soon. But yeah, if you want a daily shoe that's got a lot of pep, this is definitely up there. This feels like a super foam, the foam that's in this shoe. Doesn't have a carbon plate, but the bounce and energy return I'm getting from this is excellent. I'm actually curious to see how the Evo SL is going to feel right now running after this one. So on to the Evo SL, which is actually the lightest of this group of shoes. These came in at 9.26 ounces. Again, I'll put the grams on the screen. So I think the other one was 9.5, so not a huge difference, but it is the lightest. And then the Velocity 4 is like 0.1 ounce different than this one, a little bit more, even though it has a lower stack. So this one actually being the lightest shoe with the big stack, I still think this is one of the best shoes that there is. The upper is my main complaint with this shoe. It's too roomy in the toe box. I wish it had a tighter fit. The tongue slides around. I wish it was gusseted. The laces are like made of paper. So just the upper is just not the best in this shoe. But what I really love it for is that midsole. This has that traditional Light Strike Pro from the older Adidas shoes, like the Adios Pro 3, which is still my favorite marathon shoe. I've done 2 marathons in that shoe, including my personal best in Chicago last year. So I have a soft spot for the traditional Light Strike Pro foam. It has a really nice combination of energy return without being too soft. It has more of that like rubbery feeling where it doesn't squish in as much, but gives you kind of more immediate energy return, less travel in the midsole. So we'll see how we do today. Very interesting. I just ran briefly in these, and as far as energy return goes, it's Neo Zen for the win by a lot compared to these. Again, these have that firmer, more direct feel. I can definitely run fast in them, but I'm getting a lot less bounce from this shoe than I do from that Energy Next foam that's in the Neo Zen. Now that was a very surprising mile. I started running in the Evo SL and I'm like, okay, it's way less bouncy than the Neo Vista, but then I kind of got into my flow in this shoe and it's still really fast and feels great and has really good energy return. And then when I finished the mile, I ran a 7:30, so I actually ran 4 seconds faster in the Evo SL than I did in the Neo Zen. The Neo Zen just felt like I was going faster because it had so much bounce and energy return. I felt like the shoe was just propelling me, and was really fun. And with the Evo SL, it's definitely a firmer foam. It has less travel, it has less bounce, but it's very efficient. It feels like more dialed in, like it's less wild with the bounce. The bounce is like directed forward, almost like a car with a sport tuned suspension, where it's just gonna corner better, grip better. Neo Zen was more like bouncy and floaty but fun, where this felt like more like it was up for the business. So last shoe today is the Puma Velocity Nitro 4, and this is the newest shoe that I have. I just picked these up. I maybe have like 2 runs in them so far. But the thing that's so funny about this shoe is it's like it feels almost alien to me because it's like a normal shoe. And what I mean by that is I feel like everything just keeps getting higher and higher, the stack. You know, we just had the Vomero Premium, which is now like the iceberg of shoes. But shoes have a lot more height in the heel and the forefoot than ever before. So I'm kind of used to having a lot of foam under the forefoot. This shoe is very low in the forefoot. It has a 10mm drop, so it has a higher heel, but a very low forefoot. So you have a lot of ground feel in this shoe. It's also a very neutral shoe. It's very flexible and bendable in every direction. So it's just a really natural feeling when you're running in it. It also doesn't have a rocker, which I feel like almost every shoe these days has a rocker. So this is kind of like going back to a running shoe from like 10 years ago, like as far as design wise, but it has a modern midsole. It has the ATPU foam in it, which is my favorite type of midsole. So it's kind of like a throwback shoe in design, but a modern shoe in midsole technology, which is kind of interesting. So if someone's like an old school runner and they like the feeling of a traditional kind of running shoe, this is that. It's almost like a resto mod, you know, where someone took an old car and put a brand new engine in it and souped it up. That's kind of what this shoe is like. It's like a traditional running shoe, but with a modern power unit in it. That mile was a 7:53, and I have to say, as a larger runner, I'm missing that foam in the forefoot. You get a lot more ground feel, so if that's something that you like, you're gonna get that from this shoe. But I've been kind of pampering my feet recently with max cushion shoes, and these are feeling like a minimal shoe to me. So there's definitely bounce from this midsole, but also with such a high drop, there's a lot of midsole foam in the heel, so it kind of encourages you to land more to your heel or midfoot if you want to take advantage of the bounce from the midsole. So I also think if someone's a forefoot striker, you're not going to benefit as much from this shoe because there's just so little amount of foam under the forefoot to really kind of get the bounce and energy return from this shoe. You really need to land on the heel or the heel to the midfoot and let that foam compress and bounce from that area of the shoe, because there's just not a whole lot there in the front of the shoe. So now I'll just kind of give a little bit of a summary on how I feel about each of these shoes. This is the one that I've had the longest, the Novablast 5. I have 68 miles on this shoe so far. It's holding up really well. There's no wear on the outsole at all. Again, as I mentioned, this foam is a little bit firmer and more rubbery to the touch, so it's been holding up well for me. Very comfortable upper, lots of padding in the tongue and around the heel collar here. Plenty of room in the toe box, but it's not too spacious. But if someone has a wider foot, I think this will be good. If someone has a narrow foot, they'll be okay with this as well. This shoe's kind of like the safe middle ground for everything. So if someone just wanted one shoe to do it all, I think this one might actually be better at long runs than some of the other ones, especially the Puma Velocity, just because that one's so shallow in the forefoot. So I think this one's almost like the Toyota Camry or the Honda Accord of running shoes. It's just gonna like last 200,000 miles. It won't be in the shop. It's just reliable. Not exciting, but it's a good car. That's kind of what this shoe is. It's just a very solid shoe. It doesn't, I'm not like putting this on and being like, yes, I get to run in the Novablast 5 today, but I'm not worried that I'm gonna break down somewhere on the side of the road. So it's just kind of a stable, reliable, good shoe overall, and for $150, a very good value. The Neo Zen, I have 33 miles in so far. This one's also holding up perfectly. No real wear on the outsole, just a little discoloration there. But I was very impressed today with the ride of this shoe. It was so bouncy compared to the Novablast 5. It really stood out to me, having come from that shoe going to this one, how much more bouncy it is. One thing that Mizuno's doing, though, is the thing that Nike and Adidas do, where Energy Next is the name of the foam that's in this shoe, but they have 2 versions of it. The Mizuno on the shelf over there, the Neo Vista, has Energy Next as well, but that one's an infused EVA foam, not TPE or TPU, whichever it is in this one. So you're actually, that one is not as bouncy as this one is. Now with the Neo Vista 2, they put this foam on the top layer and the older foam on the bottom layer. So that also has a plate in it, but it's less bouncy than this shoe is. This has the full, better Energy Next foam, the the more responsive, more bouncy foam is the entire midsole of this shoe. This shoe is also $150 and a really fun ride. I think the most fun ride of any of the shoes is this one. People may or may not like this upper. The fact that it's a booty style upper may work for some people, but not for others. Some people also have complained about how this comes up in the heel, how it can potentially rub. I haven't really had that issue myself, but I could see that being a problem for some people. And then also this shoe, as I said, if you're using it as a daily shoe, it really encourages you to run faster. So I wouldn't look at this as like a recovery shoe. I think it kind of skews more to the tempo side of things. So if I wanted to just do like an easy run, I think the Novablast 5 would actually be better at that than this one would, because this one's going to make me want to turn it into a tempo run. So that could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what you're trying to do in the shoe. With the softer foam that's in the Neo Zen, stability could also be an issue for some people with that one. The Novablast is by far the most stable of these 4 shoes. But with the Evo SL, what kind of surprised me today was this version ended up being lighter than all the shoes over there. The yellow version up there would have been a little bit heavier than the Velocity 4. So I went with the lighter one today. This one I do have some wear on the outsole. You can see places where like the paint is kind of peeling off where there's no rubber, but that's not affecting the ride of the shoe in any way. It's just cosmetic, you know, damage to the shoe where the paint is coming off of the midsole. This does have Continental rubber, which is I have found to be very durable on other Adidas shoes that I have. As I said earlier, the upper of this is really what kind of lets this shoe down. I feel like it has too much room in the forefoot for a speed shoe. I want a better lockdown in the front of this shoe, and the fact that the tongue just kind of slides around, it seems almost like an afterthought, and there's just kind of thin, cheap laces in this shoe that Adidas uses in a lot of their shoes. So I think the upper could really be improved, but the midsole of this is great. This also has that firmer kind of Light Strike Pro, which just seems to work really much better for me as a larger runner. I actually did have the Adios Pro 4, but I recently sold my version of that because it's just not working for me. I like other shoes more, and I knew I could still get a decent price for it. That has the newer Light Strike Pro foam in it, which is just too soft for me. I couldn't get on with that shoe. So this is the one that I prefer. It has that firmer feeling. This one doesn't have a plate, so it has more stability just because the foam itself is a little bit firmer and stiffer overall. But what was interesting to me was I really thought I ran faster in the Neo Zen than I was running in the Evo SL. I didn't think I was trying that hard. I didn't feel that explosive bounce that I got from the Neo Zen, but at the end of it all, I was actually a couple seconds faster running in this. This just seems to suit my running style really well. So that one feels really fast and explosive. They were about the same, but I thought it was interesting that that one felt so much faster, and I ended up going faster in this one. Then with the Velocity 4, this is almost like taking the traditional type upper from the Novablast 5 over there and putting the midsole from the Neo Zen in it. So it has that padded heel collar, padding in the tongue. They're actually really long laces, like unnecessarily long. If you want to do a runner's knot, you have plenty of room there, but what's up with the length of these laces? I didn't do a runner's knot because I have good lockdown, so I have laces kind of flopping all over the place when I tie this one. But again, as I mentioned, you have a very low front to this shoe. Lots of ground feel. So if you like a neutral feeling shoe, it's so flexible, this one. It's very light and airy, the way that the shoe feels itself and the way that the foam performs as well. Very compressive foam, a very good outsole. Puma always has that excellent Puma grip outsole. So it's a light shoe, it's a fast shoe, it has good energy return, but as I kind of mentioned before, having that shallower forefoot to it and the 10 mil drop, you really need to land somewhere in this area to kind of get the bounce from the shoe. If you're just landing on the forefoot, there's not as much there as there is in the Evo SL or the Neo Zen. So another very comfortable shoe that you can run fast in for only $140. So a great value from Puma with this one. So how would I rank these shoes? It kind of depends on which metrics I'm trying to rank them. I'm going to say fun factor is the number one for me in this category. So that's where this one's going to be last. I think as far as versatility goes and value goes, it's a very good shoe. I like it a lot. It's comfortable. I can do almost every type of run in it, but it's just a little bit more heavy. It's more stable, so that's kind of the trade-off. It's heavier, it's more stable, it's versatile, but it's less fun to run in. So again, I think if you're looking for one shoe at a reasonable price that can do every sort of run, this is a great option. But compared to these other ones here, I just like running in them more. Then I put the Velocity 4 in third place out of these. I really like the upper. The upper is very comfortable, but if you have a wide foot, it's going to be too narrow for you. It's fine for me, but what I don't like about this shoe is just how shallow it is in the forefoot here. I don't like having that much ground feel. Again, I think for some people that's going to benefit them, but for me as a larger runner, I'm about 240 pounds. I don't like being that close to the road in the forefoot of this one. but it does have that new feeling foam with very good energy return. But again, you have to land to the midfoot to the heel to take advantage of that. So I think if someone's a forefoot striker or you're a larger runner, you might not like the ride of this shoe as much. So what's number one and what's number two amongst these two shoes? I think it depends on the day it is and the type of run I'm doing that day. Today, I really enjoyed the energy return of the Neo Zen. I think that was super impressive. So just fun of running, this is number one. I enjoyed running in this today more than the Evo SL. It had that explosive bounce and energy return. I was just smiling and feeling great as I'm blasting through that mile, bouncing down the street. But then I laced this one up and ran faster, which is very surprising to me. So this just seems to perform really well for me. I just love this type of Light Strike Pro foam. It works really well for my running style. I also feel like since it's a little bit firmer, that just kind of works better for me than the Neo Zen. If I was going to take these for a longer run, I think I would do better in the Evo SL than I would in the Neo Zen. But if I just want to go out and have fun and do like a quick tempo run, I think I'm going to enjoy it more in this shoe. Both of these shoes are $150, and I think you're getting an amazing midsole and a great shoe, which either one of these that you go for. Again, I think it goes down to personal preference a little bit. If you like a softer, more bouncy feeling shoe, the Neo Zen's going to deliver that more than the Evo SL. Also, if you need a tighter upper, this one, I like the fit of the upper better than the Evo SL. I think that's what really lets this shoe down. I'd like to see them, if they ever come out with an Evo SL 2. I assume they will because the shoe is so popular, but also they can just keep making new colorways and selling it forever. So we'll see if they plan on doing that anytime soon. But the upper is what lets the shoe down, but I really love the midsole. I think it's more of a performance kind of feeling. Feels lower to the ground, feels more aggressive, feels like I can kind of dig into the shoe more, whereas this one I'm utilizing the bounce of the shoe more. So if you don't like a softer, bouncier feeling, I think this one has more of that dialed in, aggressive kind of feel to it, but I really like both of these shoes. On my run today, this one felt faster and more fun. So if you just gave me these two shoes and said, based on this one experience, which do you prefer? I like this shoe better today. But I've done a ton of runs in the Evo SL that I've really enjoyed and performed really well as well. So I think overall, I still kind of prefer the Evo SL, but this is a great alternative, especially if you don't like this shoe or you want a little bit more bounce. This is a really impressive shoe from Mizuno. Please remember to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you've run in any of these shoes, which one you prefer, if you feel like any of them have any characteristics or things that worked a certain way for you that are different from it was from me, because again, I feel like everybody can benefit from people sharing their experience in a shoe. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video.